In this video, we're going to look at how to change a fraction into a percentage or a decimal, right? Sometimes you doing a calculation and there's a need, or maybe you are asked directly to make those changes, right? So if you know how to convert fraction to decimal and also percentages and back and forth, it's very easy to track your calculation. All right, it gives you the flexibility. All right, so let's start with an example. So we are given 1/5 to be changed to a percentage or to be written as a percentage. So the simple way to do it is just multiply the fraction by 100. All right, if you do that, this is in the denominator. It's a factor of 100. So 5 here is 1. 5 into 100 is 20. So our answer is 20%. All right. Now let's try another example. 3/5 as a percentage. All right. So same thing we did before. 3/5 times 100. Right. 5 into 5 is 1. 5 into 100 is 20. So in the end, we get 60%. All right, let's try one last one. So we got 8/25 as a percentage. Right? The same thing. It's 8/25 times 100. Right? 25 is a factor of 100. Or if you want to use smaller numbers, you see a 25 here, you see 100 here. So you know 5 can divide them, right? So if you divide this by 5, you get a 5. If you divide 100 by 5, you get a 20. You can keep going. 5 and 20, there's a relationship. 5 into 5 is 1. 5 into 20 is 4. So in the numerator, we got 32%. All right. Now, the same thing we just did. You can also use a method where you will convert the numerator to 100. Because by definition, anything over 100 is basically a percent. So let's say the first one, for example, 1/5, right? We could have converted it to a percentage by establishing 100 as a denominator, right? We can do that by multiplying the denominator by 20, and then we repeat it in the numerator, right? So in the end, we got 20/100, which is 20%. All right. So this is another way to do it. All right. So for example, the 3/5, same thing. Multiply this by 20, numerator by 20. So we got 60/100, which is 60%. All right. All right. Let's look at converting a fraction to a decimal. So we are fraction to decimal. Right? So fractions to decimals. With this, let's use an example. Like you have 3/5. You want to change it to a decimal. What you would do is change the denominator to a 10, 100, 1,000, 10,000, etc. Right? So for example, this is a simple one. I try to change the denominator to a 10, but any change I make in the denominator, I have to make sure I compensate in the numerator. Right? So basically, I'm going to have here 6/10, which is going to become 0.6. Or for those of you who are not familiar with this, anytime you have, a number divided by 100, a 10, or 1,000, you can easily imagine a decimal point over here and move it as many times until you get 1 in the denominator, right? And each time you move, you just count the number of moves and repeat in the numerator as well. So here it's just 1 move, right? So we're going to get 0.6, which is also the same as 0.6. All right. Let's try another one. Let's say we have 7/25, right? We want to write this as a decimal. So, like I said, you try and look at the denominator and see how close is it to a 10, 100, 1,000, and so on and so forth, right? In terms of multiples, right? So here, if I multiply this by 4, I repeat the same thing over here. I haven't changed the equation because in the end, I cannot simply cross out what I did and I'm back to this. All right. So in the numerator, I have 28. Denominator, I have 100. And you just have to imagine your decimal point. Move 1, 2. 1, 2. So we're going to end up with 0.28. Right? So you can use this to work several examples. What happens if it's not easy to change the numerator to a 10, 100, or 1,000? Let's say I have 3/8, right? Right? Remember, the fraction simply means we're dividing the numerator by the denominator. So this is the same as 3 divided by 8, which you can write as a long division by saying 8 outside and then 3 inside. These 3 mean the same thing, right? So if you want to use this long division formula, 8 into 3 is not possible, so we write our 0, all right? And then we put decimal point, and then we add a 0 to this. 8 into 30 is what? It's going to be 3, right? 8 times 3 is 24. All right? This is over, we subtract this, we get a 6 here, right? And then we keep adding the zeros, right? So we add a 0 here. 8 into 60 is going to be, I think, 7, right? And 8 times 7 is 56. Let me continue here. If we find the difference between 60 and 56, we get 4, right? We get a 4. And then we add a 0 to it, and then 8 into 40 is what? 5, right? So basically, here we have 3 over 8 is the same as 0.375. All right, so this is how you can use long division to, come up with your fraction if you are not allowed to use a calculator. All right, thanks for listening in.